Hey guys, it's me, Rebel Glam. I know I haven't blogged in a little while, and for the people who've been asking for blogs, I want to apologize. I took a little hiatus, and I know that when a person is accustomed to something, sometimes that could be hard for them. So, for the people who are upset that I stopped blogging, Kader, y'all warm my heart, and I'm sorry. But to be honest, I stopped blogging, but I didn't stop talking. So I always still had, some posts on my Facebook, some posts on my Instagram, and stuff like that. But I know it might seem like if I went dark a bit, I actually having a baby soon, and I was ill earlier up this year. I think I was just stressed out. I had too much going on, trying to do too much. I was juggling the TV show in Barbados. I had gone to Dominica to do a project, and then on top of that, I got pregnant. It was just a lot. So I took a step back now. And whenever you are trying to embark on something new, you find that you get a lot of idiots that you have to deal with, a lot of people who think that they made you or they're better than you or that you can stand up for your rights because you should just be grateful. And I had to deal with a lot of that too, and I think that added to my stress. And I realized, what am I doing it for? Am I doing TV so that people could say I have a nice show? I already know that I could do a TV show from the time I was 6 or 7 years old. Me and my sister were playing, and she would interview me, and I would do TV, pretend, and cook food and stuff like that. Sometimes it's okay to know your potential and to know what you are capable of, but not always pursue it. And I think that it's a shame if that's what you do your whole life, but sometimes you need to take a break, and basically that's what I've been doing. So for all the people who usually order cakes from me and got a call and heard, well, hey, I'm doing no cakes right now. I haven't been catering, I haven't been making cakes. I have been helping my husband with Shape Up, which is because I really think that business changes lives, and I really want my business to be able to change lives in the same way. And I'll talk to you a little bit more about that, but on to the blog. So today I want to talk about a lot of things in a short space of time. But the first thing that I want to talk about is these teachers at our primary schools, because my children are in primary school, but I'm sure the secondary school, I went to secondary school in Barbados, and I know that the secondary schools are no better. I also know that a lot of people go into teaching jobs so that they can have somebody to boss around, and that a lot of people go into police jobs because they want to humbug people, not because they actually want to serve and protect or help. And let's start with the teachers now. I went to my kids' school the other day, and I saw one of their teachers, and I saw some people say good morning to her, and she walked by with her face bent. She didn't say anything, and it upset me because I said to myself, I know she really loves my kid. I see, she's not a bad teacher at all when it comes to the children, but why are the parents being treated like this? And just in general, I want us to look at how we go out into the world, because everybody bathing and everybody putting on makeup and everybody putting on perfume and doing all of these things, going out to go out into the world so people can see us. But then what people actually see is a sour face, a person that cuts them off in traffic, a person that shows poor manners. What are we really showing the world? And at the end of the day, is our intention to really be showing that face to the world? Or are we really allowing things that we need to let go impact how we feel today? For instance, if I tell you morning and I'm a parent at your school or any other place, I don't see why you are treating me like if I harmed you last week. I think that you should treat the person who harmed you last week like if they harmed you last week, and not spread it out to the whole world. I find that a lot of times it's not a matter of reflecting, because I think at the end of the day, good things happen to bad people all the time, and for us to ignore that good things happen to bad people and that bad things happen to good people very often is to be silly. So we do know that sometimes life can be unfair, but even in the most unfair situations, that's where you get a chance to show who you actually want to be. So if every time that things get tough for you, the only thing you could say is, "They done with this raw soul," or something like that, and you gone, then where are you, and who are you really trying to be? You can't only be nice because you're having a nice day. You can't only, you know. And then my problem with the teachers is that they are influencing the younger generation. And my thing about it is that I was never fooled by teachers. I was never worried about what they acted like, compared to who they were. As soon as I started to realize that teachers are real people and that they have kids and stuff like that, I started to say, oh, so this is like a job. So this, and this is at a very young age. I started to say to myself, okay, so this is this person's job. So this doesn't mean that this person is so special, because, when I was going to school, it was almost as though teachers were revered. And I'm not really a fan of this whole idea that because a person is a certain job that they're treated better than other people. I think all sorts of jobs make the world go round, and I think it's how well you do your job and not what your job is that really matters in the end. So people change lives in different ways, but definitely we can see that a teacher is important in the lives of children, especially small children, because there's so much learning and development that goes on between the time of birth to the age of, say, 7 or even 11, which is when primary school happens. And I really feel as though this is the time when we need to be building confidence in children, and the problem is that we're not doing that. Now, the other thing I want to say about teachers, and I mentioned one where I saw myself, but oftentimes, you go to a school, I go to that school, and you see these women, especially, and it's especially women that have attitude. I've been realizing recently that a lot of times our men, they might have a hard life, but they might get a little vice, like a little drinking problem or a little herb overload or something to combat their vice, so that generally they don't have the same attitude. But the problem that you are finding with women is that we take on everything and then we become extremely sour or extremely bitter. And the problem with that is that we still bathing and putting on makeup but showing that sour woman to the world. And I think then that is how we end up getting back that, because from the time a person feels attacked, they go into defense mode. And oftentimes, sometimes we're defensive when we should not be. And sometimes when a person is attacking us with some constructive criticism or some help, the only thing that we can do is hide behind ego and refuse to improve, because we don't want to be humble enough to admit that we have an issue. The other thing I want to talk about today is social media. As I develop, as more people find out about me, it's only going to get worse, because since I've been pregnant and on my little hiatus, I've been extremely creative. So I did put together a lot of books that I had there from before that I had not put together, so they're finished now. I actually meeting with my editor today for my first one, and I'm doing a project, and I find that as soon as people think that you're somebody, because of our post-colonial mindset, they try to bring you down. As soon as somebody thinks you're getting somewhere, as soon as they start to think that you think that you're better than them, when you might not. So then they start to treat you bad, even though you've not actually done anything but just get some small measure of success in your life. And you would say, like, for those people or whatever, and to some extent you must throw them away, but to another extent you must still be kind to them, but from far, so that they can eventually get the point. I've never had a person that sit down and say bad things about me who I did not eventually see their demise for the same things I was trying to warn them about, or who then end up telling me sorry and speaking back to me. So I cannot say that my method hasn't worked for me, but sometimes when you're going through the valley, you're not climbing the mountain yet, down in the valley next to it, as Ian Levantant would say, it's hard to see that. So you'll be trying your best to be a good person and you feel like everybody's against you, but eventually, I would say from my experience, there's times when I put something on my head and prayed and said, God, but I only tell she something that could benefit her, and this how she getting on. And I have lived to see that, even though the person acted like that in the moment, eventually there was improvement. So detrimental people, I let them go with love. I actually have that as a chapter in my new book, but I'll tell you all more about the book when I actually have it coming out, because it doesn't make sense talking about it really too much right now. So this whole issue of social media, people come on your social media and they think that they know you so well, you know. They think that they've read a couple posts about you and they can tell you what you're all about, and they know everything about you. A person is not their social media presence. Even if their social media presence is actually very honest, a person is so much more than some posts or some comments. And all of a sudden now we have this whole thing about social media etiquette. And actually, you know, I spoke to a girl yesterday. I deleted and blocked her, running down with her, but I did it with love because I really feel sorry for her and wish her better. But you know, she want to be annoyed. She sent me a private message with this whole bunch of propaganda. She didn't say good morning or anything like that, and I said, yo sis, you just kind of jump off on me with this thing. And we had a conversation, but she posted something on Instagram and I commented on the post, and then she wanted to write me back and tell me that I didn't tell her morning. I find me just looking for excuses. Everybody knows that no one says good morning on Instagram. On Instagram, you post underneath whatever the relevant topic is, you say your piece on it. But you know what? I said my piece on it and she didn't like what I said. It probably hit a nerve. So rather than being honest with herself and saying, well, you know, she said X, Y, Z, but I didn't really agree with it, or I didn't like it, or whatever, she come to attack me for my opinion. You can't get vexed with people for having an opinion. You can't get vexed with people when their opinion doesn't suit yours. What you can do if you realize that that person is not a person that you want in your life is you can shift them with love. Because if you're shifting people with animosity when they haven't really actually done anything to you but have an opinion, then how are you bettering the world in any way, shape, or form whatsoever? But you know, I am so accustomed to the idiots nowadays, and you know, you can just almost feel it that 5 years from now the person's gonna come and say, you know, if they grow 5 years from now, they come and say, man, I was a real CUNT back in 2015, but I apologize, right? But at the end of the day, I always feel as though if we could learn to apologize, we'd be much further, because we say what we have to say. I say what I have to say, and if I find out later that I'm wrong, I have no problem apologizing, because I think all of us have been wrong at some point. And I think at least me being honest is what would allow me to communicate so that others will be able to correct me if I do need correcting. But anytime you come to me wrong, I analyze myself and I realize that I was not wrong. Man, you gone in the garbage, the wharf, the gully. You know, I wouldn't want you to die, but I wouldn't know if you did or not, because I blank you. I just say, you know, I wish you well and goodbye. So, you know, there's so many things that I have not been talking about that have been going on in Barbados, you know. It's crop over again. I can't tell you that I actually know any songs or care, you know. The politics of crop over has made me tired of even daring to think about writing a soca song, or you know, even pay attention. That, you know, I would say I've been damaged, you know, as an artist and as a lover of the arts, and seeing other artists. And I mean, even up to my art line, I had put on hold for a while. I had one just the other day, but before that we hadn't had one since October. And the reason why is because of the disappointment I had with people, you know, and feeling like you're working so hard and trying to figure out why. But I am getting some clarity and I'm understanding more and more my mission. I thank my little baby in here for telling me to slow down, and I thank God that I was clairvoyant enough to listen. So I want to tell you today, you know, keep doing your best, keep trying to be the best person you could be, and don't watch these people, you know what I mean? Now, it is possible to do very well socially and to be suffering inside. And you know, like I am trying to do, I hope you strike that balance where who you are to people feels good, but who you are to you feels even better. I hope that you're able to combat all the different issues that we people have, especially if you're a black woman, because you know, right now I'm gonna be raising 2 daughters, and I am very concerned with how they see themselves in the world, and I am thinking that I must try my best not to let them see themselves like how I did and have to then grow through so many things. Because there's some things we can nick in the bud, some things we can fix right away with our children, that we allow society to teach them how they want to be seen. If I tell my daughter that she's beautiful from now, you understand? She will always feel so. Even if she get fat, even if this goes wrong with her, that goes wrong with her. But what I will teach my child is this: you can always be beautiful in a moment, no matter how you look or how you are, by what sort of person you are. But if you allow yourself to be stagnant in that moment, not moving forward and not striving for better, then you actually are losing your beauty as you go along.